Hello, this is Nancy Teeter with the final episode of 7 dietary strategies to give your immune system the upper hand. If you didn't watch the previous episodes, you can certainly go back and find them. And today we'll finish up with this one, which is supplement smartly. Now, this is in place for a reason. I want you to not be pill-centric. I don't want you to think about what pill can I take to support my immune system, but rather how can I get everything my immune system needs from food. That said, there's probably some nutrients that we may not be getting enough of, and we may need to supplement them. So we're going to be very smart and strategic about how we approach this. We're going to talk about vitamin D, and you can see on the slide they did a review of scientific studies. There were 9 of them total, and they involved over 2,300 people, and they found that those that have a deficient amount of serum vitamin D were not as well protected against the flu vaccine as those who had adequate levels of vitamin D. Now, our body manufactures D. It does it when we get out in the sunshine. And if we live where the sun is directly overhead in the summer and we spend 10 minutes unprotected, no sunscreen, no clothing, out in direct sunlight, our body in the summertime will produce enough vitamin D to protect us all summer long and store it up so that we have it there to draw on in the winter. But because of our concern about skin cancer, and a lot of us are out there protecting our skin and then not getting the vitamin D. In addition to that, the upper latitudes of the northern hemisphere, the sun isn't very direct. And so it takes a longer period of time to get enough vitamin D. In the winter, it's never going to happen. So you probably need to think about supplementing vitamin D. You can have your blood values tested, although it's not covered by insurance in most cases, but you'd be looking for an ideal value of 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. But even without that, as a dietitian, I can safely recommend 2,000 international units of vitamin D3 per day. Now, the measure has changed, and so it's now expressed as micrograms. So you're going to see it on the newer bottles of vitamin D as 50 micrograms for that amount. You need to take it with food that contains fat, because it will not be absorbed in the small intestine unless you've got fat there as well. So I recommend taking it with your largest meal that contains some fat. So our next one is vitamin C. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. It has a really pretty low RDA for females who aren't pregnant or lactating. It's about 75 milligrams a day. And it's widely spread throughout our fresh vegetables and fruits, but it is destroyed by oxygen. It's destroyed in storage. It's destroyed by heat. And so we may not even be coming close to 75, and then the optimal value is probably closer to 250 milligrams. So I recommend 250 milligrams twice a day if you're healthy. And if you're in an infected state, I recommend you double that, make it 250 4 times a day. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, Nancy, why not just take 500 milligrams at a time? And the answer to that is that vitamin C maximum cellular absorption is at 250. Now, that doesn't mean you won't absorb more. It just means the return on investment is not as good. So splitting the doses is a good idea. Now, if you wanted to take, 500 milligrams twice a day, it really wouldn't be harmful. But truly, what the science says is this is probably all you need. If you're not eating fatty fish twice a week, I do recommend taking a fish oil supplement that has an adequate amount of EPA and DHA. Now, that means you're going to need to turn the bottle around and not just pay attention to what it says on the front label, but actually look at the supplement fact panel. And for the dose that the that the bottle says, it'll say serving size, and it may be 1, 2, or 3 or more capsules. How much EPA and DHA is there? What you want is 1 gram or 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined. And that will help support your immune system, especially if you're not getting fatty fish. Also, a 1-a-day multivitamin, and on everything, I want you to always check for the serving size, because even though that multivitamin might say 1 a day, it might actually be 2 capsules that you take once a day. So here's what to look for in a multivitamin. And on this slide is an example of a supplement fact panel from a good quality multivitamin. It is for, the one that's on the slide is for pre-menopausal women, because it does contain iron, and men should not be taking iron, so this wouldn't be a good one for men, but does contain the daily value of zinc and the daily value of copper. So you don't need mega doses in a multivitamin. In many cases, you won't even come close to the 100% of the daily value, because the minerals like calcium are really bulky. Be sure you buy it for age and gender specific, and if it has zinc, should have copper as well. But again, you don't need mega doses of these minerals. Too much of a good thing is not good. And I encourage you to avoid gummies, because they are not chewed well, number 1. And number 2 is the studies show that there's a big variation between doses. So you're much better off with just a chewable, not a gummy, if you can't swallow pills. Also look for a quality seal from an independent lab like Consumer Lab or USP. And that way you will know that it dissolves in the stomach in a specified period of time, that it contains what that label says, and that it doesn't contain anything else that could be harmful. So that wraps up our 7 dietary strategies to give your immune system the upper hand. I hope you've enjoyed all of these episodes, and please like the episodes, share them with friends, and let people know the fact is you need to do a lot more than just take vitamin C. I hope you have a healthy, happy day, and stay well.